Hello, everyone. This is Sanjay, and this is my group for the presentation. Our chosen leaders are Asif Zardari and Ursula Burns. We'll be discussing about their leadership styles, and for Asif Zardari, we'll be applying skills theory and pseudo transformational. We'll be applying skills theory and disruptive for Ursula Burns, finding out the connectivity between the theories, their strengths and weaknesses, and providing recommendations. And now a bit about Asif Ali Zardari. Now he's a significant figure in the Pakistani politics. He served as the 11th president, and now he's returned as the 14th president. He's a businessman. He's a co-chairperson of the Pakistan's People's Party, and his political career was deeply influenced by his wife, Benazir Bhutto. And after his wife's assassination, he led the party to victory, securing one third of the seats and ultimately becoming president. So his leadership has played a crucial role in shaping Pakistan's political landscape as a whole. Now, moving on to his good deeds that he has done. Now, Zardari's leadership is often debated. Some see him as a villain, while others view him as a hero. His contribution to Pakistan's development cannot be ignored. Under his leadership, economic partnerships flourish, such as the Gwadar port development under China. He also expanded the European Union, trade with European Union, and strengthened cooperations with the United States. And after the tragic assassination of his wife, he played a key role in restoring democracy in Pakistan as a whole. And Zardari's also reinforced the 1973 constitution, empowering the parliament and advocating for a strong federation. So his policies as a whole have left a lasting impact on Pakistan's political and economic landscape. And now Anjali will be discussing about the bad deeds.
Hello, I'm Anjali, and I'll talk about the negatives of Zardari's leadership. He's been there's some allegations on Zardari. It has emerged recently against he's been accused to misuse his vice position to amass personal wealth. These accusations painted a picture of a man involved in a range of criminal activities, from kidnapping a ransom to defrauding banks and even conspiring to assassinate political rivals such as his brother in law and as well as his wife. On the domestic front, there are also concerns about the unethical use of a power. Zardari was he allegedly used his wife's office to corrupt deals and also secure lucrative government contracts, a clear case of a political manipulation for personal gain. Zardari's tenure was marked by his controversial actions. He initially promised to reinstate Chief Justice Iftikhar Chaudhry, a move that could have signaled a restoration of the judiciary independence, but he did not live up to his word. And this resulting in a political crisis that led to clashes between the lawyers, opposition parties, and also the government. These events reflect a complex legacy marked by accusation of corruption, abuse of power, and also a political turmoil. Next slide, please.
We'll be starting off by discussing the skills theory on Cesare. Now, the skills theory suggests that a leader's effectiveness depends on their technical, human, and conceptual skills. Now, while Zardari demonstrated these skills in various ways, their impacts remain a topic amongst a lot of people. Now, starting off with technical skills, Zardari navigated Pakistan's complex political landscape, forming strategic alliances and transferring constitutional power to the parliament. Now, this was a significant step towards democracy for the country as a whole. But a lot of critics argue that his tenure was also marked by political instability and allegations of corruptions, which raised concerns about whether these decisions were truly in the country's best of interest. His human skills were evident in his ability to win elections twice, and he used his referent power to unite the party, especially after Benazir Bhutto's assassination. The Pakistan Cafe campaign also helped diffuse tensions, showing his leadership in crisis situations. However, many believe that his influence was largely driven by his wife's political legacy rather than his own charisma or policies. On a broader level, his conceptual skills played a crucial role in shaping Pakistan's government. He worked on strengthening international relations, reforming the federal structure, and managing political crisis. His advocacy for women's rights and investments and in technology highway were progressive steps for the country. But his government still faced criticism for economic mismanagement and rising inflation. So Zardari's leadership aligns with the skills theory model. While his contribution to Pakistan's political and economic landscape, his presidency was also marred by controversy. So leaving his legacy open to interpretations as such as either being a skilled strategist or a polarizing figure. Now, talking about the strengths and weaknesses of the skills theory, now the theory suggests that the leadership can be learned and developed, making it more accessible than a trait based theory. One of the key strengths is that it's applied across different levels of leadership, meaning both emerging and experienced leaders can benefit from skill development. Additionally, it also promotes self improvement, allowing leaders to refine their technical, human, and conceptual skills over time. However, the theory has limitations. It fails to explain how specific traits contribute to effective leadership, making it somewhat similar to trait theory. Now, moreover, possessing leadership skills does not also guarantee success. So, there are external factors that influence success, like organization culture or political dynamics. So, in conclusion, skills theory provides a strong framework for leadership development, but it does not fully address why some leaders succeed while others fail despite having similar skill sets. Thank you.
Now, I'll be talking about how Zardari is also a pseudo transformational leader. So, under his leadership, it's been categorized by several controversial actions, as my colleague said earlier. He allegedly suppressed opponents through coercion, even implicated in assassination of his brother-in-law, Mir Murtaza Bhutto, to maintain his power. His tenure was marked by corruption, including money laundering charges and manipulation of the key institution like the judiciary and the military to secure his control, all while prioritizing personal gain over democratic reforms, which shows how pseudo transformational leaders use the transformational skills and uh, behaviors, but for their personal gain rather than nation or organization level. Zardari's political strategy often focused on patronage, regarding rewarding loyalty rather than competence, which hindered national growth progress in favor of his own political survival. Charismatically, he appealed to the public with emotional slogans like Pakistan Kape, which relied heavily on backdoor deals and alliances rather than transformative governance. His time in the office saw weak governance marked by economic struggles and a lack of institutional forum, which contradicted the ideals of a transformational leadership. Lastly, numerous ethical scandals, including the Swiss bank accounts and kickbacks, tarnished his presidency, eroding the public trust in his leadership style. Next slide, please. So, now talking about the strengths and weaknesses of this theory. Pseudo transformation leaders have a strong influence on followers, gaining their loyalty and compliance through emotional appeals and charisma. This allows them to make quick, decisive decisions, especially in time of crisis, boosting short-term performance by using manipulative motivation. However, their focus on immediate results fails to offer a sustainable long-term strategy as they struggle to maintain influence or once the personal gains are achieved. These leaders often prioritize their own power, status, and control, sidelining the well-being of the organization and its followers. They mimic transformational behaviors, but their underlying motives are self serving. Next slide, please. Now I'll be talking about how these two theories are linked. So, Asif Ali Zardari's leadership can be analyzed through skills theory as well as the pseudo transformational, as mentioned earlier. So, he possessed technical human skills and conceptual skills to navigate Pakistan's complex political landscape. His technical skills were evident in the ability to build political alliances and use collaborations to maintain power. His human skills, including negotiation, charisma, and emotional intelligence, allowed him to gain public support and votes. Conceptually, his role in the 18th Amendment, which decentralized the power and strengthened the provisional autonomy, showcased his abilities of the strategic policies. However, instead of using these skills for the collective good, Sadari often employed them for personal and political gain. His crisis management and coalition building skills were instrumental in stabilizing Pakistan after Benazir Bhutto's assassination. Yet, his leadership leaned towards manipulation using emotional appeals and strategic decision making to secure power. While Zardari demonstrated these competencies of an effective leader, his ethical choices blurred the line between leadership and manipulation, illustrating a blend of both the leadership styles. Thank you.
Now we'll be moving on to a few recommendations for the president. Now he should focus on key strategic areas, whereas addressing natural disasters, political unrest, and economic crisis through well-defined strategies will ensure long-term stability. He should continue advocacy for women's rights and promoting FDI, which will boost both social equity and economic growth. In addition, he should also engage a youth and literacy program, which will help develop more skilled workforce within the country. And he should move beyond emotional slogans like Pakistan Cafe and focus on substantive reforms which can drive sustainable progress. And he should also focus on strengthening the democratic institutions by allowing judiciary and military independence, which will foster transparency. And lastly, rebuilding public trust through honest governance rather than manipulative charisma will also help him with long term credibility as a whole. So, by implementing these measures, Zardari can transition from a reactive leadership style to a more proactive and driven approach. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Fatima. Today, I'll be discussing a leader whose career embodies transformation, resilience, and disruption, Ursula Bonds. Born in 1958 in New York City, Bonds was raised in a low-income house by a single mother who instilled in her the value of education and hard work. She pursued a bachelor's and master's in mechanical engineering, setting the foundation for a remarkable journey. Bonds joined Xerox as an intern in 1980, sorry, rising through engineering and leadership roles until she became the CEO in 2009. She's the first Black woman to lead a Fortune 500 company. How disruptive. But her leadership wasn't just historic, it was transformative. Like I said before, she shifted Xerox from a hardware-based organization to a service-driven organization. She spearheaded a 6.4 billion acquisition, and she oversaw Xerox split into two companies. In all of our achievements or our pros, we see how she's a great example of a disruptive leader. Beyond Xerox, Bonds has served on major corporate boards, and she has advocated for leadership diversity, and chairs influential organizations. But what makes her leadership so impactful? To answer this, we must explore the concept of disruptive leadership. Thank you. Next.
Hello, my name is Kudzai, and today we will discuss some of the challenges faced by Ursula Burns during her leadership at Xerox. One major issue was the acquisition of Affiliated Computer Services, ACS, in 2010. While intended to shift Xerox into the services industry, integration was difficult and led to a financial strain. By 2016, Xerox had split into two companies, signaling the strategic failure. Additionally, Xerox struggled to adapt to digital transformation as the demand for traditional printing declined. Companies like HP and Canon advanced technology while Xerox lagged behind in innovation. Burns' direct communication style was seen as effective, but sometimes perceived as rigid or abrasive, potentially affecting collaboration. Financially, Xerox stock remained stagnant, while declining market value and weakened investor confidence. Unsuccessful transitions and rising competition contributed to restructuring efforts. While Burns was a bold leader, these challenges highlighted the complexities of leading change in a fast evolving industry. Next, please. So, as discussed earlier, effective leadership is often based on three competencies: technical, human, and conceptual skills, as outlined by the skills theory. We will analyze that in terms of Burns' leadership. Burns had strong technical expertise, having spent decades at Xerox and rising through the ranks as a mechanical engineer. She understood the intricacies of Xerox products, manufacturing processes, and operational structure, which allowed her to drive innovation. Secondly, Burns was a strong advocate for diversity, inclusion, and mentorship. She built relationships at all levels of the companies through direct and transparent communication, though at times this was seen as rigid. And then finally, her her bold strategic vision to transform Xerox from a hardware-based business into a service-oriented company. She believed that Xerox's future depended on expanding beyond copiers and printers into business process outsourcing. Burns' leadership demonstrated how different leadership and skills contribute to major strategic changes. As attributed to the ACS difficulties, this highlights how balancing these leadership skills is crucial for long-term success. Thank you. Next slide.
Ursula Bonds is more than just a corporate leader. She's a disruptor. Disruptive leaders redefine industries, they challenge conventional thinking, and they drive change where others hesitate. Bonds exemplifies 4 key disruptive traits: pace-setter, transformational. So that means she's the pace-setter, she's transformational, she's a visionary thinker, and she's innovative. I won't go into all those traits because my colleague Kudzai has already explained them. In essence, Ursula Bonds didn't just adapt to change, she created it. Thank you. Next slide. So, what exactly is disruptive leadership? According to Kao in 2018, disruptive leadership is an approach that challenges conventional wisdom, fosters innovation, and prioritizes meaningful impacts. It's not just about profitability, it's about transforming industries and inspiring long-term excellence. While prioritizing deep care for people and the society at large, I will link Kao's disruptive leadership model as seen on the slide to Ursula's leadership. Disruptive leaders do 3 things exceptionally well. They embrace change and they take calculated risks, as Bonds did. Bonds did this by pivoting and moving Xerox away from the outdated business model. The number 2, they challenge traditional norms while managing teams through transitions. Bonds was known for blunt yet effective communication. Number 3, they prioritize responsibility, ensuring that disruption benefits employees, customers, and the society at large, which is evident in our advocacy for diversity and leadership transformation. This model isn't just theoretical, it is practical and proven, as we see through Ursula Bonds. Thank you. Next slide.
So we're going to discuss the strengths and weaknesses of disruptive leadership. First, the strengths. It encourages innovation. Disruptive leaders push new ideas, technologies, and methods that help organizations stay competitive in a rapidly changing market. It promotes growth and change by questioning traditional business models. Disruptive leaders force organizations to evolve, adapting to new market trends and consumer demands. It inspires and motivates teams. Their bold vision and willingness to take risks energizes employees and foster a culture of creativity and ambitions. However, there are some weaknesses. It is high risk. Disruptive leadership often involves taking bold risks, but not all of them leading to success. Employee resistance and organizational stress. A rapid and frequent changes can create uncertainty and resistance among employees, especially if they feel unprepared or unsupported. And then finally, a constant push for disruption can make it difficult to maintain steady operations, especially if changes are introduced too quickly and without proper planning. Thank you. Next.
Okay. We're linking Ursula's disruptive and skills leadership theory together. So to understand Bond's leadership style better, we can analyze it through the theories I mentioned already. So the first skill under skills leadership, technical skills, I'm going to link it to disruptive leadership leadership theory. Okay, so by saying, for example, disruptive leaders, they rely on deep industry expertise to drive change, yeah? And Bonds, as an engineer, she used that technical background to lead Xerox shift into IT services. The second skill I'm going to link here, that's the human skill, and disruptive leadership challenge norms, but they also manage teams through change. And how Bonds exemplified this was by being direct. Sometimes she was seen as blunt, as I mentioned before, but she effectively managed change and championed diversity. The third link is conceptual skills, and the disruptive leadership link is visionary thinking is critical for disruption, which is true as Bonds anticipated industry decline and she pushed Xerox towards business outsourcing. By aligning technical expertise, human management, and conceptual foresight, as seen in the 3 skills, the technical skills, human skills, and conceptual skills, Bonds has epitomized disruptive leadership in action. Thank you. Next slide. These are our recommendations for Ursula Bonds. Despite her bold and transformational leadership, here are opportunities Ursula Bonds can expand on to influence our leadership further. Number one, she can develop a disruptive leadership blueprints, because while Bonds transforms Xerox, scaling disruption requires a broader framework. A structured leadership training program could also help embed innovation across all leadership levels. So we can make this a proper framework, a proper leadership framework. Number two, the second recommendation, they can create a board readiness index, because many corporate boards lack leaders skilled in navigating disruption, like Ursula. So establishing a board readiness index could ensure boards are equipped for uncertainty and tech-driven markets. The third recommendation is launch a thought leadership platform or podcast. Bond's voice in global digital transformation remains underutilized, and a podcast or thought leadership platform on leading through disruption could position her, as a global authority, influencing future leaders and industries. I'll move on to the conclusion. So, the first conclusion is for Zardari, and the second is Ursula Bonds. So, in conclusion, this presentation talks about two leaders, like I mentioned already, Asif Ali, Zardari, pseudo transformational theory and skills theory leader, because those were the theories we used for him. And Ursula Bonds, we used skills leadership and disruptive leadership theories for her. So Zardari is a villain to some, heroes to others. He was a detriment to Pakistan's political and economic situation. His legacy is polarized, but he's a pragmatic politician who kept democracy afloat during turbulent times. That's what we conclude on for Zardari. And for Ursula Bonds' leadership journey is a testament to resilience, transformation, and disruption, redefining leadership and paving the way for future generations. As the business world evolves, the question remains: are we ready to lead like Ursula Bonds and Zardari? Thank you. These are my references, or our references. Thank you very much.